Hello everyone, welcome back. First and foremost, I'm going to apologize for the 2 rounds on the table. I'll explain why I have those out, but every other firearm is free and clear. There's nothing in the magazine well, and there's nothing in the chamber. Today I'm going to do a video about budgeting advice for the first-time gun owner, first-time gun buyer. If you've clicked on this video, you might be considering purchasing a firearm of any kind, whether it be a handgun or a long gun, or you might be like myself and wishing that you could have done things differently when you bought your first gun, in which case you're thinking, goodness gracious, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? Maybe I should look to see if anybody else has had the same problem. We've all been there. Hopefully, if you're watching this video and you haven't yet purchased a firearm, you won't have to be there. So let's dive right in. First and foremost, when you're thinking about purchasing a firearm, you need to think about its intended purpose. What do you want this firearm for? Do you want something small that you're going to be able to carry every single day, like a little subcompact 9mm or other subcompact? Or do you want something full size that you're going to be able to use as a home defense gun, keep it in the nightstand type of thing? Do you want something that's going to be a competition gun? Do you want a race gun? Do you want whatever? Shotgun, long gun? Do you want something to hunt a deer with? If you're going to only hunt deer, then you might choose a different caliber than if you may later on hunt larger game like bear or elk or anything else. Lots of things to consider. So once you decide your intended purpose, let's say you've decided to purchase a handgun, and you wanted to buy a handgun, let's just say for home defense. So you probably could rule out the subcompact 9mm. Not necessarily so. Maybe you really like the subcompact 9. Maybe you like the way it feels. Maybe you've got smaller hands. Whatever the reason, maybe you didn't rule it out. But let's just rule it out for now. So let's say you've gone ahead and say, okay, I want a home defense gun. So I've got a budget of, let's say, $500. Well, you can go out and buy a pretty decent 1911 for $500. It might be a para ordnance. They make a good quality product. Great, you just spent $499 on a firearm. Now you've got no money left over because you budgeted $500. So now you don't have a holster, you don't have ammunition, you don't have spare magazines, you don't have any kind of night sights or other optic devices on it. What else do you need? Well, that's the next thing to consider is once you set your budget, look at the wide range of firearms available within your given category. You can buy a .45 caliber, brand new, high point firearm. Is it the prettiest looking thing? No, it's really not. I think they're hideous, but they do go bang. So that's something to consider. If you're just talking a budget conscious firearm, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. You set your own budget. You buy what's comfortable to you. There are people out there who will only own Colts and Kimbers and say, I won't trust my life to anything else. And that's fine. That's their opinion. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with a budget-conscious firearm so long as you practice with it and you know it's reliable. So, once you're looking at your wide range of guns available within your given category, you need to determine, based upon historical reliability as well as how well the company stands behind their product, what you're comfortable purchasing. Big thing to take into consideration, occasionally parts do break. You buy a car, next thing you know, the check engine light comes on because the AC stopped working, you bring it back in, they fix it for free, it's all under warranty. Same thing, Smith & Wesson has a very good lifetime warranty on all their firearms. Now, can you bring your car back and say, hey, my tires wore out, I need to replace them, they should be under warranty? No, because they're considered wearable parts. There are wearable parts in these firearms that they will not replace for free, but they will replace them if you so decide. Next thing to consider is the cost of ammunition. This is why I have these out here. This, approximately, it's a good quality Hornady critical defense round, polymer tipped. That's about, 75 cents a round. Can find it cheaper. You can find ball ammunition for about 25 cents a round chambered in 9mm. This is a .22 caliber Velocitor made by CCI. This right here is about 8 cents a round when I purchased it. It's obviously higher now. I think we're somewhere up around the 14 cents, but it's a significant savings. Every time you pull the trigger, you're basically saving a dime, even if you shoot the high quality versus the ball ammunition in 9mm. Typical 22 caliber ammunition you can find for about 8 cents a round. If you buy CCIs, you're going to pay between 10 and 12 cents a round, but that's still half price from a 9mm. That's something to take into consideration. A full magazine for a Smith & Wesson M&P 9 is 17 rounds plus one in the chamber. You get 18 rounds. At 25 cents a round, that gets expensive, versus 12 rounds in the M&P 22 at 8 cents a round. It's a lot more budget conscious. But would I want to have a 22 caliber as a personal defense firearm? I don't know. Maybe that's something you would want to consider and take a look at, ballistics testing and stuff like that. I'm not saying one way or the other whether you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying it would be something to look at. So we'll go ahead and remove these, but think about the cost of ammunition when purchasing. Also, while every firearm purchased today comes with some sort of locking mechanism, in this case it is just a standard padlock which goes up through the magazine well and out the port, which I will demonstrate here, you should consider what the firearm is for. If this is a home defense firearm and I've got one of these locks on it, you'll see how difficult it could be to access it in a hurry. So here's my home defense firearm. I'm going to lock it up as it states. There we go. I'm all locked up. So now, I'm probably not going to leave the key in it if I want this thing locked up. So I've got the key somewhere else, and now I need to get to this firearm and load it. There's no magazine in it. There's nothing chambered. And it's locked up. I can't do anything with it. I can't even drop the slide because it'll catch on the lock. It won't even allow it to go into battery. That's what it's designed to do. So if you've got one of these locks, as it came with the firearm, you might want to consider something else, whether that be a biometric locking safe, or maybe just a lock box, or maybe you want to buy a gun safe or a gun cabinet. Either way, I would consider the use of the firearm, the intended purpose, and if the lock that comes with it is right for you. Other companies, instead of sending a lock like this, they'll send an actual trigger guard, which covers the whole trigger and then locks down tight. I dislike those the most because you can still do everything else with the gun, you just can't pull the trigger. Something to consider. Moving on, if I can get this thing off, there we go. As you can see, it's not that easy. So we've talked about locking mechanisms. Next thing to consider would be how you're going to carry it. Are you going to carry it in the plastic case that it came in? Well, maybe if you're going to the range, there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's what it's intended for. But if you're going to carry this gun in a concealed state or even an open carry state, you're going to need a holster of some kind. So do you buy a tuck holster like this where I can still tuck my shirt in and carry this in a concealed manner? Or do I want something like an open carry, like a paddle holster here that just simply slides over the belt pants and the gun sits on the outside? You know, what do you want? That is going to incur cost, though. Whatever you choose, there's going to be cost involved with that. Also worth noting, if you buy a holster, you're going to buy another. You're not going to buy just one holster for the firearm. If you do, great. I'm glad you made the right choice first and foremost. Next thing to consider, and lastly, would be any accessories. So if you're going to have a bedside gun, you're probably going to want a light and or laser combo on it, such as I have here. Now this is not an expensive light and laser combo. I wish you could see the laser there. Let me do this. But it is a light and laser combo made by NC Star. I trust this. I've actually taken it out and fired it with it on there, and it works just fine. That's what I prefer. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with budget conscious. But if you are not going to use it as a nightstand gun and you're going to use it as a concealed carry firearm, maybe you want upgraded sights, maybe you want spare magazines, maybe you want a different grip on it, a Hogue grip or a Talon grip. There are many, many accessories that you can add and aftermarket parts to firearms. Maybe you just want a tiny little 22 Plinkster type of gun where you could just go out to the range and shoot inexpensively, have a lot of fun doing it, and be safe doing it. Nothing wrong with that at all. Just understand the cost of ammunition is going to be a lot less, but it may not be the best choice ballistically if you're trying to talk about personal defense. So it all goes back to the first point of intended purpose. It's a lot of information. It's really a lot to cover in a very short period of time, so I apologize if I went quickly. I apologize if I was difficult to understand at times. But let me give you a quick summary then. Intended purpose. What are you going to do with it? From there, what's your budget? What kind of firearm can you purchase within your budget? After that, cost of ammunition. What caliber should you look at? Then, any kind of locking devices. Are you going to go with the standard locking device? Are you going to try to go with a safe or a cabinet of some sort? Holsters. How are you going to carry this if you intend to carry it? And lastly, accessories. What are you going to put on it? What are you going to dress it up with? What do you need or want to be able to run this firearm efficiently? Again, it could be anything. It could be a shotgun. It could be a deer hunting rifle or a big game hunting rifle. It could be an AR. It could be an AK. Whatever it is, you need to understand its intended purpose, then set your budget, and then go shopping for it. There is a lot of thinking that goes into this, unfortunately. It's not just to wake up one day and go out and purchase it. There's a lot more that goes into it and costs associated with it than just buying the firearm itself. I hope you found this informative. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and ask. I'll be more than happy to get back to you as soon as I possibly can on it. And I'll do my best to make the information both correct and current. So until next time, thank you very much for watching.